there is an important news that has come. India, that is about a case to decriminalize suicide. So, if a person is found committing suicide, an attempt is made, and if he had survived, then it was treated as an offense under Article IPC 309. Indian Penal Code 309 said that it is they are liable for punishment up to imprisonment of 1 year, and it is a crime to attempt to commit suicide. So, right to commit suicide is not guaranteed in the Constitution, and also under the Penal Code. Under the Indian Penal Code 309, it is a crime to attempt to commit suicide. So that is the background. So there's a case so it is a criminal act to commit suicide. Now idea is to decriminalize. So should we decriminalize after a person is committing suicide, attempting to commit suicide because of his frustration? Should he be punished if he is making an attempt? Should we call it as a criminal act or decriminalize or take away the criminality and liability to be punished under Indian Penal Code? Now, that is the debate, and that's the news. So let's look at the facts. India is recording highest number of suicide cases in the Asian region, Southeast Asian region. So highest suicide rate. What are the reasons why India is figuring one of the highest suicide committing countries? That is because the depression, chronic ill health, guilt, trauma, substance abuse, failure in exams, loss of loved ones are some of the reasons why persons are taking some of the reasons, not all the reasons, why a person or people are resorting to commit suicide. Now, there is an extensive study in sociology by Emily Durkheim. He said that the suicide can be 3 types: egoistic suicide, egoistic suicide, then anomic, breakdown of law, maybe hunger, starvation, and other one is called altruistic suicide. Like the people for the welfare of the country or for the cause of the humanity or society, they commit suicide. So the altruistic, there are 3 types of suicide. So now in this case, we are seeing it could be egoistic because the people are not able to bear the humiliation, suffering, frustration, depression, and also failures, and that's why they are saying. And also because somewhere they are not able to do unemployment and not able to make money, not able to live, maintain decent living standards. So the breakdown of law and order, maybe a rape victim is committing suicide because she has been the victim of the rape, and so on. So it's a breakdown of the law and order, and that can happen. And also altruistic. So this may be very less, but the other 2 types can be more. So you can say depression, personal ill health, failure of the government also, and not able to treat effectively, substance abuse, failure in exam, loss of loved ones. There are many other reasons why they are committing suicides. So these are some of the causes. A total of 1,34,560 cases of suicide were reported in 2018 in India, according to National Crime Reports Bureau. So this shows, and WHO also said India records the highest suicide. India holds the record of highest suicide rate. While the rate of suicide was 9.9 in 2017, it increased to 10.2 in 2018. That is the observation and statistics indicate. So it's an alarming case. So Section 309 of the Indian Code dictates the penal provision for attempting suicide. So if a person is attempting to commit suicide, he is liable for punishment for 1 year under this Section 309 of the IPC. Okay, IPC 309. So India has written, if the person is suffering from any mental trauma or illness, he should be given reformative treatment rather than a deterrent punishment, which is simple imprisonment for term. So the argument, those who are against this penal provision, they think that attempt to commit suicide is a criminal act, and 309 IPC punishes them. So those who are against it, arguing against it, they say already is mentally disturbed. And if he's attempting to do that, and then if again Indian Penal Code provision is punishing it, instead of being reformatory or deterrent, we should be reformatory in approach. After all, he's suffering from some frustration and mental imbalance, mental ill health, and mental disturbances, mental trauma. And again, you want to punish him for 1 year. This is not called for. Those are the people arguing against it. And that is their argument. India has written much of the colonial legal legacy in its medical journal. So we are automatically, as you know, earlier we discussed about Article 124 sedition. It was also the passed on legacy of the colonial rule. So we are also copying the same thing from Indian Penal Code, is very much the extension of the British legacy we are carrying forward. So the colonial legacy has been written in our IPC also in the medical Indian jurisprudence. And the British Parliament decriminalized attempts to suicide in 1960 through the Suicide Act. So it has taken away that stigma of crime when somebody is attempting to commit suicide. Already suffering, again you are giving a label that is a crime to commit suicide. So this was taken away by the British, but we are carrying it forward. Now that is the point to be observed. Then India, a bill to repeal Section 301 was first introduced in the Rajya Sabha. Yes, Government of India also made an attempt, not just to carry forward, but to have a repeal or take away the 309, saying that it is a crime to commit suicide, crime to attempt to commit suicide. So take this provision 309, repeal this provision 30 IPC. Okay, that is the attempt was made in 1972, but it failed to pass in the Lok Sabha because the House was dissolved by the time. So that is the attempt to decriminalize. Now, there are people who are arguing for and there are people who are arguing against the right to commit suicide. Should there be provision to criminalize the act of attempting suicide or act of committing suicide? Should there be any no punishment at all? Why should there be a punishment of 1 year imprisonment for those who attempt to commit suicide? Should we have it? Those who are arguing for it and against it. So those, we have witnessed a century-long tussle between two camps, for, against. That is, it is not a crime. It is a crime. Those are saying, no, it is not a crime. Should not be treated as a crime. Okay, 309 should be taken away. 309 repealing against. So there are two camps are there, advocates for penal. So those who are advocating penal provision, they say yes, 309 should be continued. Okay, should be continued. These are saying 309 IPC should be scrapped. Okay, continuously demand to attempt to decriminalize. So don't say it is a crime when they are attempting because they are already suffering. Those who are arguing against the provision, they say that let not have it treated as a crime. So decriminalize. Those who favor the penal provision, that is, they say no, it's an act of crime. It should be continued. 309 IPC should be continued, and penal provision should be allowed. Penalty, that is 1 year imprisonment, should be continued, and it's a crime. They are saying, as I was attempting to comment, they are also saying that they quote the judgment about Gyan Kaur versus State of Punjab, where the court said, right to life is a natural right embodied in Article 21 of the Constitution, but suicide is an unnatural termination of extinction of life, therefore incompatible and inconsistent with the concept of right to life. There were 2-3 cases that have happened. The one important case was okay. The Sripati Dubal versus State of Maharashtra, the act of attempting suicide should not be criminalized according to the judgment. Okay. Later, there was also another judgment called Rathinam versus Union of India in 1991, where they said right to life also embodies the right to die. Therefore, it should not be penalized. It should not be treated as a crime act, criminal act. and 109, 309 will not apply to them. That is the judgment given in the Rathinam versus Union of India in 1991. So there are two judgments in favor of, or rather against, scrapping this 309 war, the Shripati Dubal versus State of Maharashtra, where they said the act of contempt should not be criminalized. And also other one is called the Rathinam versus Union of India, wherein they said that the attempt to commit suicide should not be criminalized. It is unconstitutional. That 309 is unconstitutional. And it also said that the second judgment says that right to life also gives right to die. These two were arguing for taking away the penal provision and to attempt to decriminalize and also speaking against the penal provision. These two judgments. But later, Gyan Kaur versus State of Punjab in 1996 gave a very, Supreme Court gave a landmark judgment. They said that right to life does not mean right to die, and they have no right to take away their life. It is true that we are given with the right to life. Article 21 gives the right to liberty, gives the guarantee to life, right to life, but the right to life does not automatically give right to die. That is the landmark judgment given by Gyan Kaur versus State of Punjab in 1990. These two are in favor of the judgment. These two are in favor of scrapping the 309 IPC. Two judgments, this one and the State of Maharashtra. But Gyan Kaur said that, Gyan Kaur case said that no right to die. Right to life does not give right to die. No right to die. This is the significance of this Gyan Kaur judgment. So they said also it is then the court also said that if they said that those who argue in favor of the scrapping or the judge 309 should not be there, they are saying that just like right to movement, right to like Article 19, the freedom for movement, freedom to associate, right to form association. So the freedom is extended to many activities. So also right to life freedom should also extend to right to take away the life or right to die. Those who are arguing in favor, saying that it can be extended to that. That's how two judgments have said that there is this argument can be extended. Right to life includes the right to die. But Gyan Kaur said that no, right to life does not give the right to die. Now, what is the other important thing that development has taken place? There were two judgments, common cause versus, common cause versus the Union of India. In this case, they found that the right to die with dignity is also equally important. While Gyan Kaur says, no, right to life does not include the right to die. Therefore, the right to die is not allowed, and 309 IPC provision will apply, and it's a crime to attempt to commit suicide, according to Gyan Kaur. But the other important judgment that has come is common versus was that in the context of the case of a person who was hospitalized, and they said right to live also should mean right to live with the dignity, and therefore a permission has been given for passive mercy killing, passive euthanasia. Now that is the other important judgment. Then the other important judgment that has come is the very important called Arun Ramchandra Shanbhag versus Union of Parliament. Then the Supreme Court endorsed the other judgment. They said that a committee has been appointed. Let's discuss the Shanbhag case. In the Shanbhag case, Aruna Shanbhag case, she was a nurse, and she was sexually assaulted by a hospital worker, an employee of the same hospital, who attempted to rape her. And during the process of attempting to rape her, he strangled her neck. And though so her windpipe has become so narrow, she was finding it difficult to breathe, and blood supplying to brain was almost stopped. So she went into coma and lived for 48 years in bed, living a passive vegetative life. And she was given only IV fluids and treatment and continued her life, vegetative state of life. So a committee was appointed to know whether she should be given a right to commit suicide or attempt to commit suicide. And so when the committee has found that there is a strong case for giving a passive euthanasia, meaning that you can withhold the medicine or take away the plug so that she can die peacefully and with dignity. So this was the case. And in Arun Shanbhag case, they said that the guidelines have been issued. Supreme Court guidelines have been issued for what is called as passive euthanasia. Passive euthanasia. Passive euthanasia. What is the passive euthanasia means? To withdraw the treatment, because she has been living for 48 years without knowing that. Also, the consent is not coming. She is not conscious. So, after all, while you are taking away her life, is it your duty to ask her whether whether she wants her life to be continued, or in order to live with a life with the dignity, she wants to have her life to be terminated, that she doesn't want to live any longer or live no more, because her dignity does not permit, because she has been living a passive vegetative life. So this was the content of discussion, and the Supreme Court gave a guideline. So in two important judgments, it has made passive euthanasia as a possibility to end life, because article right to live also give right to live with dignity. That is one. Therefore, passive euthanasia can be given. What is the meaning of passive euthanasia? Attempt to withhold the medical treatment. Like, for example, a person is on ventilator, it is taken away so that he will die, because we know that there is no longer a quality of life beyond that, living only for all this year a vegetable life, passive vegetative state. And also similarly, withhold the drug which is giving them to continue to live with life. So that critical drug can be taken away, or take away the plug so that that supporting ventilator mechanism or supporting life system can be withheld so that they will die a peaceful death. That is called passive euthanasia. So attempt to commit suicide, 309, so far the position is that Gyan Kaur case says that right to life does not give you a right to die. But however, the other two important judgments that have been seen, Common Case versus Union of India, and also Aruna Ramchandra Shanbhag of Delhi case, which I mentioned about a rape victim. In this case, Supreme Court gave guideline, which of the cases you should give the euthanasia, means mercy killing, and allowed to die by withholding the medical support that is given to the patient. And in this case, they have formulated the guidelines also. Now, what is the present scenario? What is the solution? So in 2017, Parliament passed the mental health care that notwithstanding anything contained in section 309, or any person who attempts to commit suicide shall be presumed, unless proved otherwise, to have severe stress and shall not be tried and punished. So now they have taken a new approach. In 2017, Parliament passed the Mental Act. Very, very reformatory in the sense. It is very reformatory, not a punitive one or a penal, having a penal provision. They said the person is already under a lot of mental tension, mentally disturbed, and therefore is resorting to act of taking away his life. People are pushed to that point only when they are extremely distressed. So when there is a severe distress is there, so it is presumed that they have severe distress, and therefore they shall not be tried and punished under that. So now 309 IPC provision, attempt to commit suicide, will not attract punishment if the person proves that he was under severe stress and could not handle the stress, therefore has committed suicide, and he has to justify that there was an enormous stress. So this is the word, severe stress. If you can prove that you were under severe stress, that person will be exempted from that punishment. So almost a decriminalization has taken place. It was no longer a crime act. It will not be treated as a crime, and it will not attract the provision of the 309 IPC of punishment of 1 year imprisonment if he can prove, if he survived the attempt and he can prove that he had faced enormous stress, severe stress, then he will be exempted from the punishment. He will not attract the punishment. He shall not be punished under that. So this law applies only to those who are suffering from mental illness and presumption of severe stress in attempt to die by. So what is the meaning of severe stress? It is a relative term, right? For example, some people cannot withstand certain stress, but others can withstand easily. So it is a relative term. And supposing I say, I am not able to work hard, I'm not getting my livelihood, it is a severe stress to me, and I want to come into attempt. This is very bad, because there are people who have to work hard and then they have to give the attempt and earn their livelihood. So what is stress to me is not severe stress to other. What is severe stress to that person may not be severe stress to other. So this, to prove, satisfy these elements of so-called severe stress, a student cannot withstand the examination severe stress, and he says, I will commit suicide. As you can see during examination result, declaration of result, many students attempt to commit suicide, not being properly guided. After all, there is a supplementary exam, there will be a separate question paper, a separate fee for them. Why should they die at all? Just because they pass in the fail in the examination. Why can't they pass wait for next 6 months? Or instant exams are conducted within few months to enable them to pass. So not withstanding that stress. So a student says, I am not able to have a severe stress, therefore I have attempted to commit suicide, therefore I should be given exemption under 309 is not a valid point. So the relative stress is also there. Then the other important thing about passive euthanasia is that there are many examples where parents are being killed or attempt is made to kill them because they were not parting away with the property or they are living longer. So this can be misused by family members or the rivals or because of family disputes. So they may get admitted in the hospital and may use this passive euthanasia as an excuse to kill them in the hospital. So this is one important thing. So the hospital can become a place to manipulate and eliminate the elderly people or the people suffering with hospitalization. Also, this passive euthanasia can be applied to so-called terminally ill patients. And they say this is a burden to their family members, and therefore they may request the doctor to apply for anything or bring pressure on the patient itself to give consent to die. So this can be misused like that. Hospitals can become a place for manipulating the deaths. So these are some of the issues that are arising out of this. So huge number. So I don't know. The very reformatory approach has been given that if you can prove that if your stress was unbearable and satisfy the court, you will not attract the provision. That is what the position now stands. So to some extent, the 309 IPC is no longer a criminal act subject to the provision that provided that person who has survived that attempt should prove that it was unbearable stress for him, and therefore he or she resorted to that. It is no longer a criminal act. Now that is the act. And passive euthanasia guidelines are issued by the Supreme Court, and they have to satisfy, and there should be a consent, or what is called as the will by the person, or on behalf of the person, any friend or family member. Now this is where it has come into controversy. Recently in a COVID case, parents were killed by manipulating the COVID reports and later to give succession to the property. So this is happening in the families disputes also. So therefore, there's a danger that these provisions can be misused. So for each case, it should be dealt on its own merit. So this is about the controversy about 309 IPC. So you have a right to life, but you have no right. You have a right to live, but you have not automatically having a right to die. Right? That is not guaranteed to you under the Constitution, except under exceptional circumstances where you think that as per the new Act, Mental Act Care Act 2017, that you are under extreme stress. Again, stress is a relative concept. What is stress to me? Unbearable can be stress for you, bearable, and so on. So these are some, even the passive euthanasia conditions leading to passive, applying for passive euthanasia also can be relative to the, some people cannot bear the medical cost. For some, the cancer may be unbearable and cannot be treated. They say, give me immediately. Or they will force the parents or patient to apply for the passive euthanasia. So instead of exploring the treatment, they will be immediately killed. So these are the provisions can be misused. This is the overall scenario for this 309 IPC, attempt to commit suicide, punishable by 1 year.